I got pregnant to force him into marrying me. On our wedding day, his first love wrote a suicide note and jumped into the ocean. True love was no match for power and status. I admit defeat. When my husband Jared heard the news, he didn't even flinch. He just kept smiling and went through with the ceremony. But then, after we were married, on the anniversary of her death, he took me and our 3-year-old son diving. 100 meters down, he ripped out our oxygen tubes. My son and I drowned right then and there. After I died, I saw Jared lay my body on his first love's grave as an offering.
Lily, I got my revenge for you. I hope you're happy now, wherever you are.
When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the night I used my pregnancy to force him to marry me. It was midnight. Jared walked in, bringing the cold with him. The agony of my past life finally cleared from my mind. Even the look in my eyes as I stared at him was filled with terror and hate. He paused. A flicker of surprise flashed in his eyes, then turned to complete disdain. He didn't even glance at the table full of cold food. His tall frame loomed over me. His brow was dark with malice.
If you're mad, take it out on me. Lily's not malicious. She's not a schemer like you. What's wrong with her loving music? Why do you have to go after her?
I was caught off guard by his accusation. It took me a moment to remember. In my past life, around this time, Lily had come back crying. She accused me of using my family's influence to pressure her school to expel her, so I could marry Jared. But the truth was, while she was at school, she kept skipping classes to party with the elite, missing too many classes. She even fell asleep during an important recital. That's why the school asked her to leave. Lily was just afraid Jared would find out the truth. After all, she came from a poor family. The Brookses paid for all her expenses abroad. And between her and me, Jared would only ever believe her. Thinking of this, I sneered and shot back. With the Sterling family's power, crushing her would be as easy as swatting a fly. Why would I bother with all that? This was the first time I'd talked back to him, and his face grew even darker. He turned to leave, but his eyes caught the pregnancy test report on the table. My heart skipped a beat. I forgot to put it away.
Huh. Now I get it.
Jared's slender fingers picked up the report. A mocking smile curled his thin lips.
So you've changed tactics to force me into marriage. Serena, you think a child can control me?
As if thinking of something amusing, a cold, dark light flashed in his eyes. He said, word by word,
I despise you. Why would I care about your child?
Even though I'd already seen his cruelty, his words still felt like a knife tearing through my heart. The image of my beloved son dying before my eyes flashed through my mind like a nightmare. I snatched the pregnancy report from his hand, and tore it to pieces without a second thought. Since you don't want this kid, I'll get rid of it. From now on, we're through. I turned to leave, cold-faced, but Jared stopped me. He frowned deeply, as if he didn't buy a word I said.
Serena, do you even believe that? All these years, you've been clinging to me like a dog, impossible to get rid of. You even had the nerve to crawl into my bed on purpose. Now that my family is finally about to go bankrupt, your opportunistic parents are forcing me into a marriage alliance, and now you're telling me you'd actually get rid of the baby?
His contempt and disgust washed over me. I fought back the tears. All I felt was regret. Regret for the past 10 years. Someone like Jared never deserved my love. Seeing my silence, Jared thought he'd hit a nerve. His face turned even colder.
Your Sterling family is nothing but a bunch of greedy scum. You disgust me.
I knew why Jared didn't believe me. In my past life, I was truly pathetic and despicable. I even got down on my knees and begged him to marry me, and threatened him, saying if he didn't take responsibility for the child in my belly, I'd leak it to the press, and ruin his family forever. Under extreme pressure, Jared gave in. But the price I paid was devastating. 3 years into the marriage, Jared drove my parents to their deaths. He drowned my 3-year-old son and me. Given a second chance at life, I won't make the same mistakes again. At that thought, I took advantage of Jared's distraction, and smashed his most precious cup from the cabinet behind me. It was a gift from Lily. He used it every day for his coffee. Now, I had shattered it to pieces.
You're dead.
He grabbed me by the throat, his eyes burning with murderous intent. He slammed me against the hard wall. The impact on my lower back sent a dull ache through my abdomen. A faint, cramping pain began to spread. At the same time, Jared's furious voice rang out.
Serena, the only one I love is Lily. Even if you trap me with a pregnancy, I will never love you.
Hearing his words, I suddenly laughed. Yes, he would never love me. I suddenly pulled out the abortion pills from my pocket. Actually, after my checkup, I had gotten the pills from the doctor. But in my past life, I loved Jared to the bone, and couldn't bring myself to take them. Now, all I feel for him is disgust and hatred. This child doesn't need to be born into this suffering. Jared, I'll let you and Lily have your great love story. From now on, we're through. With that, under Jared's astonished gaze, I opened the pill bottle. Right in front of Jared, I swallowed the abortion pills, one after another. I was afraid one wouldn't be enough, so I took the whole bottle. In an instant, a sharp cramp shot through my abdomen. A warm liquid gushed from between my legs. The next second, my whole body went limp. and I lost consciousness. In my daze, painful memories from my past life came flooding back. After we got married in my past life, Jared moved out and never lived with me again. He bought a villa in the suburbs, filled with pictures of Lily. My entire pregnancy, I was completely alone. On the day I gave birth, I had a difficult labor. He just showed his face, then left. His face was ice cold. When a nurse came over, beaming, carrying my newborn son to him, he just shoved her aside. His tone was cold.
Get out of here. Disgusting.
My parents, keeping vigil by my bed, were furious. They started chewing him out. Jared listened calmly, not saying a word back. Only when my parents were exhausted from shouting, did he let out a sinister laugh.
You'd better enjoy these good days while they last. Time's running out.
Back then, I was too weak and racked with pain to think straight. Until a month later, while I was still recovering from childbirth, I watched on the news the mangled remains of my parents after they fell from a building. That's when I realized Jared had already bankrupted the Sterling Group and left us with hundreds of millions in debt. The price for Jared to let me go was my parents' lives, he said.
You pushed my loved one to her death. Now the ones you love most should get a taste of that same pain.
Back then, I thought about ending it all. But seeing my sweet baby boy in the cradle, my heart softened. That's right. I still had my son. He was my last bit of family. I gritted my teeth and brought him up, and pretended I didn't know the truth about my parents' deaths. I thought, no matter how evil someone is, they'd never hurt their own child, right? So, I tried desperately to awaken Jared's love for our son. My son was very well behaved. His big, innocent eyes shone like obsidian. Every time Jared was around, he'd toddle after him, clinging tight. In a sweet little voice, he'd call out, "Daddy, hug me." On the rare occasions Jared was in a good mood, he'd give him a quick hug. Back then, I even fantasized that even if Jared wanted me gone someday, as long as he was good to our son, I'd have no regrets. But I underestimated Lily's hold on his heart. My son was just 2 when he came down with a fever. Then the whole city got hit by a pouring rain. I begged him to drive my son to the hospital. But all he said to me, coldly, was,
"You're not worth saving."
After that, I was done. I stopped hoping for his love. My son and I moved out of the mansion, and kept our heads down. I just watched his tech company thrive and go public. I spent my days at the park with my 3-year-old son, and we were happy. But I never imagined. He never intended to let us live. On my son's 3rd birthday, he asked us out to celebrate, out of the blue. To the beach, the one place my son wanted to go most. Later, as I looked at his small, lifeless body before me, right before I blacked out, I heard the researcher on the phone tell him,
Mr. Brooks, the experiment was a success. Miss Davis has been revived.
That's when I finally realized Jared never truly loved us. Given a second chance at life, we'd better leave each other alone. The sound of crying grew clearer. My eyes fluttered open. I saw Mom and Dad standing right by my bed, alive and well. A wave of regret washed over me. I yanked out the IV and threw myself into my mom's arms. I broke down sobbing. Mom and Dad, I'm not marrying Jared. My parents already knew everything. They immediately backed me up.
The wedding's off.
But Mrs. Brooks, standing nearby, tried to smooth things over. Serena, don't do anything rash. Jared's just immature. A child. He'll grow up once you're married. I shot her a cold look. It was because of my engagement to Jared. My dad poured resources into the nearly bankrupt Brookses. Mrs. Brooks had to sell her jewelry just to stay afloat. Now, with my family's money, she's buying gold and silver for herself again. See that luxury bag next to her? She got it with $50,000 in matching purchases. And here I am, lying in a hospital bed, while she comes to visit me with a full face of makeup on. I remembered my past life. After my parents went bankrupt, I went to beg her for help. She said she was too busy with her facials and refused to take my calls. Thinking about it now, that mother-son pair are the definition of ungrateful wretches. Selfish, despicable, utterly disgusting. I completely ditched my usual good girl routine. And I held nothing back, snapping back at her. He's almost 30, and still acting like a child. Mrs. Brooks was fuming and her face went pale, but she held back with my parents right there. Just then, Jared pushed the door open and walked in, followed by Lily, who was wearing a white QPOW. The moment Mrs. Brooks saw Lily, her face went completely white. My dad was furious.
Pointing at Jared, he yelled, "Who said you could come in here? That's the maid's daughter who slandered my daughter."
Jared stepped in front of Lily before Dad could blow up. He declared right then and there,
"Lily is my one true love. Mr. Sterling, I never had feelings for Serena. The child was just an accident."
My mom, a college professor with such grace, was trembling with anger. I quickly tried to calm her down. I also patted Dad to stop him from blowing up again. Perfect timing. From now on, the Sterlings and the Brookses are done. I wish you and your true love all the happiness, and a house full of children, I said calmly. Mrs. Brooks wasn't having any of it. She waved her hands frantically. Now, that's not happening. Mrs. Brooks, don't you play innocent either. I cut her off with a cold laugh. That plane ticket for Miss Davis's trip back home, you even had my dad's secretary reimburse you for it, didn't you? My family was drowning in debt in my past life. And Mrs. Brooks, that vile woman, had a hand in it. Mrs. Brooks's face turned ashen. She was mortified.
Serena, don't push it.
Jared's always been this cocky around me. Didn't even care that my parents were right there. Just to humiliate me.
All you Sterlings know is throwing money around to pressure and threaten us. What else have you got? Don't make me lose respect for you. Well, Mr. Brooks here has quite the mouth on him.
Dad scoffed.
Since Mr. Brooks is so high and mighty, too proud to stoop for a few bucks, then, from this day forward, all cooperation between our families ends. The Sterlings won't give the Brookses another cent.
He practically spat out those last words. Jared's face fell slightly. But he showed no fear. No wonder. In both my past life and this one, he's never known what it's like to be poor. So in his eyes, running a company must seem like a walk in the park.
I sure hope Mr. Sterling keeps his promise.
Jared lifts his chin defiantly. His gaze is pure arrogance and confidence.
From now on, in the business world, I won't be holding anything back.
With that, he takes Lily's hand. He says in a tender, adoring voice,
Lily, I'm all yours, from now on.
Lily's a shrewd one. Otherwise, she wouldn't just be trying to get under my skin instead of actually whispering in Jared's ear to make him dump me on the spot. Without the Sterling's backing from now on, the Brookses are probably finished. But for now, Lily can't say a word. She forces a smile. Her meticulously maintained face shows only touched admiration. Jared, finally united with his true love, pulls Lily away. He doesn't care at all about Mrs. Brooks's ashen face. In the end, it's my mom who coldly tells her to leave. Looking at the finally quiet hospital room, I let out a sigh of relief. In this life, I'm going to protect mom and dad, no matter what. I hope Jared, without all his money and status, stays bound to his true love for life. Oh, I do, just as I thought. That night, Jared just couldn't wait to make things official with Lily. He made a huge deal out of it on social media and Chattersphere, posting a photo of them holding hands. The caption read,
Only love my sweet Lily.
Before the Brookses went bankrupt, Jared was an internet-famous heartthrob and star student. Instantly, the comments on Chattersphere were flooded with congratulations. Some even straight up trashed me.
Finally, now that delusional fangirl Serena should get the hint. Our sweet Lily is the only one good enough for Jared. Oh my god, a devoted CEO and an innocent angel. I ship them so hard.
I bet Serena saw that post and totally lost it. But over on Jared's social media, it was dead silent. Everyone in high society is a shrewd operator. After his family's bankruptcy, the trust fund kids who still kept in touch with him only did it out of respect for my family, the Sterlings. Now that Jared is actively cutting ties with us, it means the Brookses are now a useless pawn. Who'd even want to deal with him now? A lot of those trust fund kids even straight up deleted him. Jared was completely clueless about any of this. He was still floating on cloud 9. He even went out of his way to reply to a follower's comment. On such a wonderful day, don't bring up that jinx Serena's name, Lily might get jealous. That overbearing protective statement of his even went viral. I didn't have time for this idiot. I just blocked him. 3 hours later, I suddenly got a call from the manager of a luxury jewelry store I frequent, which is under our group. Miss Sterling, Mr. Brooks, he wants to pick up the custom pink diamond engagement ring you ordered last month. The manager sounded both awkward and terrified. Before I could even respond, I got a text from an unknown number. It was in Jared's usual arrogant, cold tone.
Serena, give this ring to Lily for now. Her fingers are prettier than yours. So it'll look better on her. Besides, I promised I'd give it to her.
I was so mad I laughed. That's my ring. Who the hell does Jared think he is? Trying to use my money to impress some chick? Broke loser. Tell him to get the hell out of here. If he's broke, he can go pick some cheap weed from a roadside stall. Anyway, his sweet Lily likes him for who he is. After my sarcastic rant, I hung up. I let out a long, deep sigh, so satisfying. Rumor has it Jared maxed out his credit card just to buy his sweet Lily a diamond ring. But it was only 1/20th the size of the pink diamond I had custom made.
The store manager said Lily's face was absolutely livid.
But for Jared's sake, she put on a fake smile. Then the very next day, Lily came back in full disguise with that very ring. She demanded a refund, but not to Jared's account. She wanted the cash straight up. The manager, on my orders, of course refused. Lily was fuming but didn't dare cause a scene. She's relentless, I'll give her that. After she kept pestering her, the manager, worried she'd scare off other customers,
quietly texted me for advice.
I was already out of the hospital, getting a facial with the socialite princess. I laughed so hard my face mask almost cracked. I told her she'd only get 70% back, and to send me the surveillance footage. The manager complied. Beside me, the socialite Princess Sophie was absolutely delighted.
So this is a famous innocent angel. More like a gold digger, if you ask me.
I grinned, admiring the pink diamond ring on my finger. I smiled sweetly, but what can you do? Our dear Mr. Brooks likes it this way. In the days that followed, Jared seemed to have cast himself as the chosen protagonist of his own script. He seemed to think that his talent alone could single-handedly restore the crumbling Brooks group to its former glory. Just so the Sterlings wouldn't look down on him, he even threw a party at his family's villa, inviting all the socialites and business figures he knew. Except for the Sterlings, almost everyone got an invitation. He didn't just want to secure funding at that party, he wanted to show off his one true love to the world. To be fair, Jared was actually talented. Otherwise, in my past life, he never could have leveraged the Sterling's resources to take his company public. But now, he had no connections, no resources. No matter how talented he was, nobody was gonna give him a chance. I heard for that party, he even bought Lily a haute couture dress. But in the end, the only guests who showed up were Lily's relatives, and nobody else. Mrs. Brooks was so mortified, she pretended to be sick for a whole month. Sophie was in my office, reenacting the whole scene with glee. I was laughing so hard I almost entered the wrong client account. But Sophie just wouldn't let up. She leaned in for a little devilish whisper.
Your beloved Jared.
I just sighed, shaking my head with a wry smile. Oh, come on, I wish I could just wipe my memory clean. But joking aside, I'm about to throw my own banquet, as the CEO of the Sterling Group. In this life, I'm determined that our family business won't fall into anyone else's hands. So, to ease the burden on mom and dad, I started learning how to manage the company. I was never dumb to begin with, and I even took financial management courses in college. With dad's guidance, I actually got the hang of running the company. He was so thrilled that after I landed $1 million deal, he booked flights that same day to take mom on a trip. At the airport, Dad hugged Mom and teared up.
20 years. I've been craving a vacation for 20 years.
Mom gave him a playful punch. Looking at my vibrant, happy parents, my resolve hardened. In this life, I'm going to keep them safe. A week before the Sterling's banquet, I sent out invitations to all the socialites I knew. The Brookses were included. Sophie sneaked theirs in when I wasn't looking. She's loved soap operas since she was little, especially the catfights. When I found out, I didn't even care. After all, with Jared's macho complex, he probably wouldn't even show up. Never thought he'd actually show up at the party. But there he was. While I was getting toasted by the crowd, I spotted Jared hesitating at the entrance. He slipped inside. It had been over a month since I last saw him. He looked like hell. Not just dark circles under his eyes, his suit didn't even fit right. Looked like some last-minute rental. Stripped of his trust fund kid status, he was just a deflated, awkward mess. Like he finally realized he didn't belong here anymore. And the total opposite? Lily, right beside him, still all dolled up. Sophie leaned in, dishing the tea.
That moron Jared sold his own dad's life's work, all his trade secrets, just to buy his sweet Lily a ticket into showbiz.
My eyebrows shot up. I said, dead serious, is he such an idiot that he let his lust do all the thinking? Because if I were his dad, I'd come back from the grave just to whoop his ass. Jared was trailing behind Lily, who'd fully morphed into a social butterfly. Watching her laugh and charm all the big shots, he was burning with jealousy. But he couldn't make a scene, so he just sat there, getting darker and darker. Ended up sulking alone in a corner. I took a sip of my champagne and calmly said, "What's sweet Lily doing fluttering around the room?"
This silly girl is determined to be a big star. She's probably here for your family's company, hoping to snag investors for its film projects.
Oh, not surprising. I couldn't be bothered to give them another glance. I turned to exchange fake smiles and pleasantries with the new arrivals. But then a cold voice cut through from behind me.
Serena. You orchestrated all of this, didn't you?
It was Jared. He'd appeared behind me at some point. His eyes held nothing but resentment toward me, like a scorned lover.
You told them not to help the Brookses. Wasn't it just to force me to bow down to you? Serena. You really make me sick. Let me tell you, no matter how hard you try, you'll never compare to even Lily's little toe.
His voice was very loud. It disturbed others in the hall. The banquet hall fell silent. Only the pianist kept playing. Holding my glass, I looked at him. My expression was calm, my heart completely still. Jared. I went to all the trouble of stuffing you into this ugly suit, just so you could come to my house and insult me. Jared saw my cold expression for the first time. He actually stumbled back a step. I let out a light laugh. I looked him up and down, and my tone was full of nothing but contempt and disgust. Your family is drowning in debt right now. Do I really need to go out of my way to bully you? Don't make me laugh. Even if you got on your knees and begged me to save you, I wouldn't give you a second glance. Jared was stunned. His sunken eyes widened. His pupils contracted sharply in the warm lamplight. Realizing he was being humiliated, he finally reacted. I was no longer the person I used to be, the one who clung to him and was at his beck and call. The color drained from his face. His eyes were filled with humiliation. Seeing this, Lily, who had been practically glued to Arthur, hurried over and pulled him aside. She knew how to read the room. All her previous bravado in front of me was gone. She didn't even dare to look me in the eye. She smoothly offered an apology with a flattering smile.
I'm so sorry, Miss Sterling. You're so magnanimous. Don't stoop to our level.
I gave her a meaningful look. My tone was flat. You certainly know how to play the game. Jared stared in disbelief at the woman he saw as his first love, his innocent angel. He opened his mouth, but in the end, no words came out. But from the flash of confusion in his eyes, I think that Jared from a month ago would never have pictured this scene. How pathetic. Pretty much everyone here knew the history between the three of us. The investor came over, intrigued. He's Arthur, who watched me grow up, probably wanting to stick up for me. He grabbed a bottle of strong liquor. He handed it to Lily, who was flashing him a sickly sweet smile.
Since you're an old pal of Miss Sterling's, I'll cut you a deal. Down this bottle, and the supporting actress role in my next project is yours.
Lily's face instantly turned pale. Jared's macho instincts kicked in right away. He looked displeased, shielding Lily behind him.
Don't bully her.
The investor sneered. He immediately changed his tune.
All right, you drink it then.
Jared froze. Before he could speak, he heard the innocent angel he'd spent his whole life protecting.
Speak softly behind him. Jared, can you drink this bottle of wine for me? You know, becoming an actress has always been my dream.
By the end, Lily was about to burst into tears. Looking all pitiful and heart-wrenching.
I almost laughed out loud.
That sounds familiar. Oh, right. 7 years ago, when she first moved into our villa,
Lily told Jared.
Her dream was to become a cellist. Jared believed her back then.
So he endured being forced to kneel for 3 days and nights by his own father.
Just to bring Lily home to live with him. Jared still remembers that night, the hope in the eyes of the girl in the worn-out dress. But the girl herself had long forgotten the lie she'd casually told. She kept using the same trick to deceive him, making Jared fight her battles. I took a sip of wine with a smile, watching these dogs go at each other. Jared frowned and pursed his lips. Under Lily's expectant gaze, he spoke, his voice hoarse.
I have a stomach condition. I can't drink.
Mrs. Brooks loves spicy food, but he couldn't handle it, so he'd often get stomach pains. I was the one who found out and told Mrs. Brooks. But stomachs need to be nurtured. I found a famous traditional medicine doctor and learned a herbal diet recipe. I'd make soup for Jared in high school every now and then. I kept it up until a month before we fell out. I never stopped. He remembered that too. Finally, I saw a flicker of guilt in his eyes. Guess after his family went bankrupt, he was too stressed. Didn't even bother to treat his stomach condition. Now, forcing him to drink a whole bottle of liquor. That's practically a death sentence. Arthur was getting impatient.
You drinking or not? If not, I'll give it to someone else.
As he said that, other actresses nearby started getting restless. Lily was fuming. She lashed out at Jared.
Are you a man or not? Why are you taking forever? Didn't you swear to me that you'd take care of me?
The last glimmer of light in Jared's eyes went out. He looked like his spine had been snapped. His back even hunched.
I'll drink.
He took the bottle, unscrewed the cap, and started chugging. But his weak stomach couldn't take it. He'd only gotten about a third down, before clutching his stomach and spitting up blood. Then he passed out. Chaos broke out. Lily was panicking. Because Arthur's expression darkened. He looked down at his sleeve, splattered with blood. Disgusted, he turned and left. Lily rushed after him. Without giving the unconscious Jared on the floor another glance, I just rolled my eyes, and shot the butler a look. I calmly told him, get him to a hospital. Just don't let him die here. As they loaded Jared into the ambulance, he tried to open his eyes, trying to say something to me. I couldn't be bothered to read his lips, and just walked away. Overall, the banquet that day went smoothly. The Sterlings secured several new projects. I was swamped, running around non-stop every day, flying all over the country. It wasn't until half a month later that I heard from Sophie what went down that day. It was a total disaster that day. Lily didn't get the supporting actress role. She was so pissed she moved out of the tiny apartment Jared rented. Sophie took a sip of her bubble tea, lounging comfortably on the chaise. She casually opened the hand cream I brought her from France and applied it, her eyes sparkling with gossipy excitement.
But she didn't break up with Jared. Jared is really head over heels for her. Even knowing his sweet Lily is such a gold digger, he's still working himself to the bone just to buy her the luxury goods she likes.
After replying to a client's message, I said offhandedly, what else could it be? Make him admit everything before was just his own delusion? Sophie laughed loudly. Then she remembered something, and sent me a few more photos. I opened them and saw it was Jared delivering food. A wealthy young master like him ended up like this. I was shocked. Unbelievable. Sophie clicked her tongue in amazement.
To fund Lily's pursuit of her acting career, Jared worked 4 jobs a day. They say when his mother, Mrs. Brooks, saw him like this, she was so furious she fell ill multiple times. She even tried to sue Lily to get the money back. But Jared stopped her. He said he loved Lily for who she is, and he'd accept her no matter what.
That made my skin crawl. I sighed and said, well, I hope he gets what he wants.
No. According to a reliable little birdie, Lily has already hooked up with another man.
Sophie slurped up the tapioca pearls from the bottom of her cup. She mumbled.
My girlfriends have seen her at a bunch of dinners, always clinging to some pot-bellied sleazebag. Apparently, he's a web series director with a terrible reputation. He's a total creep, but he used to be loaded. I didn't care about the rest. A client happened to call, so I went back to work.
3 hours later, I sent off Sophie, who'd had a blast hanging out, then got into my luxury sedan and headed to my dinner engagement. I heard it's a pretty solid movie script. In my past life, this script won a major award. This time, I've gotta grab this chance. But I never expected, right in the middle of dinner, when I went to the restroom, I actually ran into Jared. He was trailing behind a group of men, scampering after them, hunched over with a briefcase. After he saw them off with that sickeningly sweet smile, he finally let out a huge sigh of relief, straightened up, and wearily rubbed his lower back. His once well-fitting shirt now hung loose and baggy on him. He'd lost a ton of weight. Even his cheeks were sunken in. I looked away and was about to leave. But he spotted me.
Miss Sterling. It's been a long time.
His voice was hoarse. His tone was humble and cautious. I ignored him and went straight back to the private room. The dinner wrapped up at 10 that night. After seeing off the other guests, my driver pulled the car around. Just as I was about to get in, someone grabbed the car door. It was Jared, who'd been waiting for me the whole time. I raised an eyebrow. What do you want? His face flashed with shame, regret, and pure embarrassment, a whole mess of emotions. Finally, his face flushed red. He stammered and asked me,
Can you lend me some money? The doctor said, my stomach condition is getting worse. If I don't get treatment soon, it might turn into stomach cancer.
I was completely taken aback. You work so hard. Can't even afford to see a doctor. Jared was stunned by my question. After a moment, he forced a bitter smile.
It's all because, well, Lily needs money for her acting career.
I looked at his receding hairline. I felt absolutely nothing. I even thought he had it coming. Jared's courage finally ran out. He waved his hand. He was about to flee in shame. Just then, a couple emerged from the budget hotel next door. It was Lily and the sleazy director, fresh from their little rendezvous. Lily didn't notice Jared was there. She was still clinging to the director, begging for a peck. The whole scene looked like Beauty and the Beast, but a knockoff version. Jared obviously saw it too. He looked like he'd been struck by lightning. Frozen on the spot. Then, before anyone could react, he lashed out and kicked the sleazy director. The director was a big guy, after all. He didn't even flinch. Instead, he slapped Jared across the face. Sick as he was, Jared was no match for him. He was knocked to the ground. Lily was scared out of her wits. But she didn't dare help him up. She could only coax the director to leave. There was Jared, sprawled out on the sidewalk. Nearby was a used tissue discarded by the sleazy director. He was barely conscious. Blood was trickling from the corner of his mouth. I averted my gaze, got into the back of the luxury sedan. Take me home. The car pulled away. In the rear view, Jared's figure kept shrinking, until he was gone. 6 months later, the film I backed finally hit theaters. It was a massive box office hit, just as expected. At the awards ceremony, before walking the red carpet, among the actresses, I saw Lily, of all people. She was tagging along with a recently buzzworthy web series crew. Gone was her innocent look from before. Now, her whole face was clearly altered. Even her chest looked artificially enhanced. She tried to cozy up to me, but my assistant cut her off right then. The red carpet event began. Everything was orderly. Lily was eating up the spotlight, her delight written all over her face. Thanks to the series, she'd picked up nearly 100,000 followers, inching her closer to her dream of becoming a star. That night, as expected, my film took home Best Picture. But just as I was checking my phone and chatting with my colleagues, I saw a news headline trending. There was a serious car accident on the highway near the film festival. Lily, the lead actress of a web series, was kidnapped. From the blurry surveillance footage, you can see her van getting rear-ended by a beat-up minivan. Then, as the driver steps out, a skinny man gets out of the minivan, holding a kitchen knife. The driver froze in terror. He didn't hurt a soul, just took Lily hostage and left. I recognized that man as Jared. That night, our crew's rap party was a blast. I was hungover for 3 days straight. When I went out, I found a package at my door. I opened it up. Inside was a set of hand-sewn children's clothes, a letter, and a lucky charm. It was sent by Jared. He said he remembered all the wrongs from his past life. He was sorry for what he did to me. Sorry to our son. He said he would kill Lily to atone for our son. He hopes in the next life, I never meet him again. I stared silently at the letter, its tear stains obvious. I stayed silent. I found it all so pointless. Belated affection. Huh, how pathetic. I casually threw the package into the trash. I was just turning around when I was pulled into a strong embrace. A man's lazy, husky voice came dripping with jealousy.
Serena, did some other guy give this to you?
Remembering last night's wildness, my body went weak with desire. I turned and kissed him, just some nobody. That seemed to satisfy him. He scooped me up with one arm, carried me inside, and headed upstairs. A moment of pure indulgence. The next time I heard about Jared was in the news about his verdict. He tied Lily's hands and feet to a rock and drowned her in the sea. On the day he was executed, Mrs. Brooks jumped to her death. The same spot where my parents jumped in my past life. On the day the Sterling group went public, I got a call from the funeral home.
Miss Sterling? We can't reach any other relatives of the prisoner, Jared. Could you come collect his ashes? We found your contact info among his belongings.
I took a sip of rich red wine, gazing at the azure sky through the floor-to-ceiling window on the 89th floor. My mood couldn't be better. I chuckled lightly. Oh. Just toss it down the drain. After all, his true love is waiting for him in the water too. With that, I hung up the phone and didn't give it another thought. From now on, I'll shine on my own, and become a billionaire without true love.